Oh, whoops, excuse me. The mic's on. We are recording now. I was just enjoying some Valentine's Day candy, which is really the only good thing about Valentine's Day. Have you ever thought to yourself Valentine's Day is really kind of pointless? Well, if you're a guy, that's pretty much what you feel like every year. But after what I'm about to tell you, I think that everyone, young and old, will agree with me. So stay tuned for that coming up in just a second. But right now, it's the month of love on Everyday Life, the show providing you with tools and helpful hints for all of your everyday needs. We're devoting the entire month to marriage and relationship topics. Let's face it, some time or later in the relationship, your spouse is going to do something that bothers you. And more often than not, it's the female in the relationship that always wants to change their man. Little idiosyncrasies that he has that really irk her. Well, listen as we talk with America's #1 love and marriage experts, Dr. Charles and Elizabeth Schmidt. They've been studying the principles of successful marriages for over 30 years, which makes them more than qualified to give you the marriage and relationship advice that you need to get your relationship back on track. Listen as they tell you about 5 things a woman should never say to a man. All that and more all this month on Everyday Life. You can check it out at the link below. Everyday Life, tools and helpful hints for all of your everyday needs. And now, a Valentine poem for my lovely wife. You're the one I love so much. I love the feel of your gentle touch. Being with you feels so right. Mostly because we hardly ever fight. I've debated what to get you and decided on candy, but then I realized hold it, stop. Gosh. Every year I go through the same thing. Valentine's Day. I'm always under so much pressure to give my wife a great gift, and don't get me wrong, I love my wife to death. But it all feels so contrived. What is the point of Valentine's Day? What's more, where did it come from and why do we celebrate it? Well, first of all, it's the second largest card-sending holiday of the year. 85% of the people who give Valentines on Valentine's Day are, you guessed it, women. Proving, of course, that it's a day created by women, for women. At least, that's what I thought for years. We have been celebrating Valentine's Day in the United States for at least 300 years. We first started exchanging Valentines as a tradition in the 1700s. The first American to mass-produce Valentine greeting cards was Esther Howland, but this was not the beginning. Oh no. We go way back. It all began with a man named Valentine. Valentine was a 3rd century priest who would secretly perform marriages for couples. Now, in secret, you ask, why did he do that? Well, the reason is because the reigning emperor at the time outlawed marriage. You see, he wanted single men to be soldiers in his army, and he figured that if they were married, well, that's less devotion to him, and distractions would be inevitable for his men, so he outlawed it. As Valentine's efforts were discovered, the emperor sentenced him to death and put him in jail. And while Valentine was in jail, he just happened to fall in love with a beautiful young woman who just happened to be his jailer's daughter. She would visit him on a regular basis. He would send her love letters. Now, prior to his death, he had written a letter affectionately signed, "From your Valentine," a greeting that forever established him as one of the most romantic figures in history, which is why Valentine's Day is a day of romance. Now, it's also interesting to note that he died on February 14th. So not only are we celebrating the death of Valentine on this day, or Saint Valentine as Christians have hailed him, but we're also celebrating a Christian version of an old pagan fertility festival. Yes, a fertility festival. This was a real thing. You can't make this stuff up. And here's where it gets really good. So here's how it worked. A group of priests got together and they sacrificed a goat, because a goat, as we all know, symbolizes fertility. And they then would take the hide of this goat and they would shave it into small strips. The festival would become complete, however, when they slapped their women with these goat strips, and the women loved this. Getting slapped by goat strips meant that the following year would be more fertile for them. And And we all know that nothing says I love you like a good slap in the face. And on that note, have a happy Valentine's Day.